VEDA, video every day in August 2014, day 8, August 8th. Yeah. Recently I heard a feature on NPR talking about newspaper carriers, talking about how it is now more the exception than the rule to have a child delivering a newspaper in the afternoon. Nowadays, most of the newspapers are morning newspapers, and adults are out in cars, tossing them out onto the driveway in a plastic bag, protected from the weather. I know that's how it was when I moved from Buffalo a couple of years ago, and that's how it is here in Missouri. Now, this reporter went to a town in Iowa that is the exception. It's an afternoon paper, and it's a small town of 10,000 people or so, and it has children as newspaper carriers. The reporter interviewed an 11-year-old boy, talked to him about his route, his responsibilities, and the customers, and that sort of thing. 5-day-a-week newspaper, not a very big newspaper. No collecting. Everything's done over the phone or online by credit card or check. So, not a real tasking job, but the young boy is learning responsibilities. Now, he also interviewed someone who was on staff at the newspaper who expressed frustration because nowadays more and more parents are helping their children with routes. And you can understand that if it's a small newspaper. But I know there are exceptions because this feature brought back some memories. Both of my sons, one who's 30 and the other is 34, had paper routes. And it was the Buffalo News. It was a fair-sized newspaper, 7 days a week. And on Sunday, they could be a heavy paper, 3 pounds or more sometimes, you know, with all the inserts and the extra sections. So what we would do is, after they had inserted their ads into the papers, we would throw them all in the van, and either I or their mother would drive down the street, and they would run back and forth from doors to the car to get the van, to get the papers, maybe 5 at a time, you know, to deliver them, while we would stop and read the paper while we waited for them. And if you can imagine in the winter, it can be pretty tedious slugging through the snow, because you do know that Buffalo's known for snow, right? Yeah. It was a suburb of Buffalo, but it was a Buffalo News. They collected, which could be pretty frustrating at times because people aren't always available, or they would not answer the door or not have the money at the right time. It also brought back memories of my own personal experience because I had a paper route in the 60s. From the time I was about 12 to 16, when I got my first job, just like my son's, I had a paper route. It was a suburb of Buffalo. It was a small town. It was a smaller newspaper. Coverage was probably 70,000 people, so it was like a 20 to 30 page newspaper. And it was a 6-day-a-week newspaper. And I can remember when I was collecting back in the day there, that was like, at one time it was 42 cents a week for the newspaper. And that could be pretty frustrating trying to collect that money. You know, people would not answer the door or not have it at the right time. So yeah, my next door neighbor was my best friend, and he had a route with this newspaper. And for about 6 months I would help him with that. And I decided, hey man, I want a route. Well, his route started about a quarter mile away from where we lived. So he had to go that far before he started delivering his 40 or so newspapers. A route came up, and I got it. And it was more than 100 customers. It started right at my door. So we had our box out front there. I'd get my papers in. I'd have them mostly done by the time he finished his 40. And yeah. The extra customers, I had a little more cash, but I spent more time doing it. And I learned some responsibility. Yeah. Now, this young boy who was interviewed said that he would put it in the mailbox or the door, depending on the customer's preference. My sons would put it in the door. But back in the day, I could get away with tossing it on the porch. I would roll it up and toss it from the sidewalk, either on my bike or walking. Toss it, and if it missed the porch, obviously I would go and get it and put it on the porch because, hey, you know, you want the tip, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it got me to thinking. Well, yeah, you know, also on rainy days it would go in the door because we didn't have plastic bags. But it got me to thinking, can I roll a newspaper? Can I? So I threw one together. It's probably 25 pages. 20. You don't have a number of pages in paper, do you? Yeah, it's 24 pages. So let's see if I can roll it. So yeah, here. So I get it all together, nice and tight, just like that, because you don't want it to fall apart. Otherwise, you're chasing that paper across the lawn in pages. Yeah. So yeah, that is VEDA 8, 2014. Ciao, folks. Vlog on.